So, Digby, in the last hour, we were talking about how we got to where we are in terms of the repeal and replace effort by the Republicans. And we have gone over, and if folks, if you didn't hear our conversation in the first hour, go back and listen to the podcast, because we were just saying at the break how we laid this out in very granular and weedy terms. And so if you really feel in any way that you're not following this process, go back and listen to that, because I think we did a fairly comprehensive job in explaining the dynamics and the sort of the parliamentary mishigas that's involved in this. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But the end of the day, this motivation, Digby, for the Republicans to cut Medicaid and the need they have to do so to set up their ability to execute permanent tax reform, which is, this is something, the last time this happened really was during the Reagan administration. Even when Bush's tax cuts, they sunset automatically after 10 years. Paul Ryan, desperate. Mitch McConnell, desperate. This is their legacy. And I think they are perfectly willing to take the implications of crashing our healthcare system and basically say these tax cuts are going to be irreversible. And I think to a certain extent, they must see how hard it is to overturn Obamacare and say, like, this is not an easy lift. And we may never have the shot again, and it's worth a bet that the Democrats will never be able to fix it going forward. I mean, that's going to be their calculation, right? Because if McConnell wanted to bail, he could have bailed 15 different ways over the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's clear that there is plenty of opposition to this. But the public is against it, and the president that they're allegedly doing this on, for whom they're doing it is tremendously unpopular and getting more unpopular by the day. They do not have to do this. They think they do. They say they do. But the truth is, everybody, the Tea Party's they're going to initiate primary races against these people. Nonsense. That bubble is burst. The Tea Party and everything that pushed them had to do with Barack Obama being the president, and I do not believe that they are going to come back. And in fact, if you look, there's now evidence, and it's strong evidence, that it's the Democrats who are recruiting people, and the Republicans are lagging far behind in candidate recruitment for 2018. So I think that is that's actually not true. What is happening is that the leadership of the Republican Party sees exactly as you say, that this is their chance. This is the one chance they have. They have this, pen with a small hand holding it in the White House who will sign it, and that is what they're doing. And they are absolutely, have tunnel vision in getting to that end game. McConnell could have gotten out of it. Ryan could have too. I mean, and people were accepting that, and they had their moments, and they kept going, and I think they will keep going, because this is what they live for, and this has been their goal since they got into politics. Basically, look, Paul Ryan said it straight out. We were sitting around at keggers dreaming about ending Medicaid. He said
exactly. And I would add too, and this is important for people to keep in mind. And it really is, it's stunning. It's really a stunning statistic. There are 17 states where Donald Trump's approval rating is above 50%. There are 17 states where Donald Trump's approval rating is below 40%. And the remainder is obviously below 50%. We're in a very polarized situation. Certainly, all those states where Donald Trump is above 50%, the senator's got to feel some pressure. I mean, we'll talk about this if we have time. Donald Trump's bizarre, and bizarre is really the wrong word. I mean, scary speech to the Boy Scouts.
Oh.
There's a reason why that happened in West Virginia, and it was because if he lost Shelley Moore Capito's vote, the senator of West Virginia, in a place where his approval rating is near 60%, that would basically say, the highest in the country, would signal to the rest of the U.S. Senate, like there is going to be, if she could vote against it, then anybody could. And so I think part of it is that some of these senators, feel like they have to vote to maintain, Trump's favorability. And then I think others are, and certainly Mitch McConnell seems to be driving him off a cliff. I mean, Dean Heller, I don't know how he is going to survive this. I'm perfectly happy if he doesn't in terms of electorally, if he ends up voting for something like this. But this is a come hell or high water moment for the Republicans. I think they know if they don't pass it, their agenda is down. Now, with all this said, you've got the story of John McCain, who could have provided himself an easy out, could have provided Mitch McConnell an easy out. And I say easy out, I'm saying a very, an inscrutable way of getting themselves out of this situation if they wanted to.
Yep.
If Mitch McConnell was not hell-bent and was just, behind a rock in a hard place, he could have basically called up John McCain and said, stay home.
Yep.
And John McCain flew in to applause in the Senate and voted for this travesty of a bill. And Digby, I know you and I probably share an equal amount of disdain, and I know how long-standing it is for John McCain. I will let you go first in your assessment of it, and then I'll have an opportunity.
Well, look, I had thought maybe that because John McCain has just been diagnosed with a terminal cancer diagnosis, and he is 80 years old, and he's at the end of his career, I thought maybe he might surprise us and actually be the person that everyone has always said he was and which he has never been. He wasn't. He flew in. He voted improperly to allow this disgusting process to go forward. And then, as usual, he stood up and gave a preening, self-indulgent speech about how everyone needs to get, knock heads together and try and get the job done and be civil and stop listening. So basically, his actions were the same as I don't know, who can I pick here? Somebody, I guess Orrin Hatch or Mitch McConnell, while his flowery words set him above, all the rest of them, saying that he just has a little bit more integrity than everybody else. That's just not true. I mean, I'm considering, you mentioned going back into the past. I recall John McCain, who had been tortured in Vietnam, was a strong voice out there railing against the torture policies of the Bush administration, but when push came to shove, he voted along with everybody else for military commissions, for allowing abuse of prisoners, for all of that stuff. And I will never forget it. I thought if that's something that he can actually go back on,
yep,
while at the same time making these flowery speeches, there's this florid rhetoric about how torture is wrong, that and his own experience, and using his own experience, using that as probably the most famous torture victim in America, to actually sell that hideous, horrifying policy, and then speak out as if he was some kind of a hero. I went, well, this man has absolutely no center whatsoever. And at the end of his career, he proved it once more. So that's where
Indeed.
I am with John McCain.
All right, well, let's take a quick break. We got a little more to talk about, and then we got to move on to Jeff Sessions, a guy who has an incredible amount of integrity in terms of his desire to suppress people's votes and act on racist impulses. We will talk more about that after the break. I'm Sam Seder. This is Ring of Fire Radio. We're talking to the great Digby.